What does it mean to be good? Is morality something we discover or something we create? For centuries, philosophers have wrestled with these questions, shaping the way we understand ethics today. But before we dive deep into theories and debates, let's ask ourselves, can we ever truly define what is right and wrong, or is morality just an illusion? Ethics is as old as human civilization itself. Long before philosophers like Socrates or Kant, humans had an innate sense of right and wrong. Our ancestors relied on cooperation to survive, and over time, they developed moral codes that bound their societies together. But here's the question: was morality born out of necessity, or does it exist independently on human culture? Anthropologists suggest that moral instincts are deeply embedded in human nature. Research from Harvard psychologist Mark Hesser suggests that people across culture share an institutional moral sense, much like our ability to learn language. This hints that ethics may not be just a social construct but something wired into our very being. But if that's true, why do moral values differ across societies? This leads us to one of the biggest debates in ethics. Is morality objective or subjective? Think about it. If morality is objective, then certain actions are universally right or wrong, regardless of personal beliefs or cultural difference. This is the view held by morals realists like Pluto, who believed in a world of ideal moral forms that exist beyond human perception. But others argue that morality is entirely subjective, shaped by culture, history, and personal experience. Parents famously declared that morality is nothing more than the hard instinct in individual. If he is right, then morality is not an absolute truth but a product of human conditioning. But if morality is subjective, does that mean anything goes? If society decides something is right, does that make it truly right? To answer these questions, let's explore three of the most influential ethics theories: virtue ethics, deontology, and consequentialism. To Aristotle's virtue ethics teaches that morality isn't about writing rules but about the developing good character. He believed that the ultimate goal of life is flourishing a human being. Imagine a person who always strives to be courageous, honest, and compassionate. According to Aristotle, such a person isn't just following moral rules, they are becoming a truly good human being. But is being good enough, or we need clear rules to guide our actions? That's where the Immanuel Kant's deontology comes in. It argued that morality is about duty and rational principle, not personal desires. He believed in characterological imperative. We should act only according to principles that could be universal laws. In other words, if lying is wrong, it must be wrong in all situations, no expectations. But does this leave room for a moral flexibility? What if lying is necessarily to save a life? Then there's a consequentialism, most famously championed by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. This approach argues that the morality of an action depends on own consequences. Consequentialism suggests that the right action is one that brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number. It sounds simple, but it raises tough questions. Does the end always justice systemic? It's sacrifice on or one person's lives. Is it the right thing to do? Now let's put these theories into that. Imagine you are standing by a railroad switch. A runaway train is heading toward the five people tied to the tracks. But you have the power to divert the train to another track. But only the person is tied. What do you do? A virtue ethicist might ask, what would a good person? A deontologist might say that actively pulling the switch makes you responsible for a death, violating moral rule. A utilitarian, on the other hand, might argue that Saving 5 lives at the cost of one is the right choice. There is no easy answer, and that's the essence of ethics. There is no absolute guarantees, only the struggle to make the best possible decision with the knowledge we have. But does that mean morality is relative? So, after all this exploration, what can we conclude about the nature of ethics? Is morality something we discover like scientific facts, or is it something we create like art? And if it's created, does that make it any less real? Perhaps the real power of ethics isn't in finding definitive answers, but asking questions. Because in the end, ethics is really just about philosophy. It's about how we choose to live our lives. And so, I leave you with this question. If morality is a choice, what kind of world would it see?